Welcome back. We're live inside the booth. Today, we have a special guest, special guest, Kelvin Sampson from the University of Houston men's basketball. Head coach, University of Houston men's basketball, Kelvin Sampson. So right now, they're one of the top teams in the country. They are undefeated. And guess what? They're right here. They're in Houston. Let's bring Coach Sampson to the panel. Let's get a chance to talk to him and get some feedback from him. Coach, how you doing?
I'm good, Marlon. How about you, my man?
I'm not bad at all. I'm not bad. Actually, enjoying this good weather we have today and enjoying the opportunity of supporting and watching some Cougar basketball.
Yeah, well, we've had a lot of fun. But, you know, the thing I enjoy most about this group is that every kid we have in our program, Marlon, is a high-character kid. It's a pleasure going down there to work with them every day. We've got a culture built on player development. So from 8 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock, we have, whether it's individuals, groups of 2, groups of 3, they're in here continuously all day. My staff does a phenomenal job of establishing a culture built on work and getting better, and that's something that I think is paying off for us.
Okay, I get that. And it's showing daily. It's showing daily. Now, I'll ask you this, Coach. I've seen your program from afar and from the beginning stages. Did you know that your program would be this good, this fast?
Well, Marlon, based on taking over programs at other schools, and you know, if you look at our track record, you know, we've been to the NCAA tournament at, well, even Montana Tech. We won 3 consecutive conference championships there. Came within a basket of going to the national tournament. Washington State, we got to the NCAA tournament. Oklahoma, we were ranked in the top 25 for 12 consecutive years. Indiana. So when I got here, I think the key was getting the administration to invest, because I think the investment has to meet expectations. You can't have expectations without investment. And that was really the biggest thing that I had to sell them on. You want to win, you want to have a great program, but you don't have an investment. So what is it you want to do? And I laid out a plan that started with the Guy V. Lewis Development Center, where our kids could have a place to come 24/7, 365, not share a workplace with anybody. That would be our home. To me, that place should be renamed the Damian Dotson Floor, because I think Damian Dotson was the epitome of the reflection that we want in a basketball player. Someone that will come in there and invest his time. You know, a lot of times I would come in from a trip and I'd come up to the office, get my paperwork organized for the next day. It may be midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning, Marlon, and I'd hear that ball bounce. And that ball bouncing, to me, is Al Green and Marvin Gaye. That's my music. And that ball bouncing is music to my ears. And I'd go to that window in my office, look down, there's Damian Dotson. Damian Dotson's down there with that gun shooting. And that was the vision I had. We had to have a place where our kids can go to practice and develop, where our coaches could go and develop and work with our kids. But, you know, players and coaches win games. Administrators are the ones that win championships. So when President Couture, Tillman Fertitta, Mac Rhodes, Hunter Yurchek, all the guys I've worked with, I just, you know, and I'm sure I was a nuisance to them at some point. I was probably annoying, coming in their office, knocking on the door, texting them, calling them that, hey, look, we have to have this. But going back to the original question, did I think? Yes, I did, because that was my vision. I never thought about what our record was, but I always thought that because Houston, Texas is one of the greatest cities in the world, forget the United States, it's one of the great cities in the world. And you look at this campus and the growth that we've had, spearheaded by President Couture, Tillman Fertitta coming in, that dude's inspiring, man. What he's done for us is just simply an inspiration. I texted him that the other day. So when we got those people on board, and I saw the movement, it just came down to our staff. You know, we had to not just recruit good players, recruit the right players, guys that reflected the the vision that we had for this program. Guys that weren't afraid to go down the road that nobody else would travel. You know, a lot of these kids around here, you know, they think, especially the elite players, they want to go to the Kentuckys or the Dukes. Well, that's fine. Maybe those weren't the players for us. And that's why kids like Galen Robinson from Westbury Christian and Fabian White from Atascocita, Said Ali from Klein Forest, Chris Harris from Madison. You know, those are my guys. You know, you want guys that will buy in, and I think our program's reflection of those guys that represent that level.
Okay. Now, and it's showing. And then you speak of Damian Dotson. So the last 2 years, you've lost some really good players in Damian Dotson, Rob Gray, Devin Davis, and now you have a roster that's heavily with underclassmen. What were you thinking, and how did you get these guys to rise to the level where they are right now, where they're national contenders with such an underclassmen group?
You know, every coach is different. You know, I'm not. You know, I coach our kids hard. They know that coming in. But I think the key to having a group that will allow you to coach them, and I go back to my time with the San Antonio Spurs with Greg Popovich. I was with him for about 2 months in 2008. Thing that jumped out to me was how hard he coached Tony Parker. You know, he coached Tony Parker a lot like I coached Galen Robinson his freshman and sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was on him. I remember getting off the bus one night after a game. We flew to Salt Lake City, and we're checking in, and Pop had sitting over on the plane making notes. And boy, when we got to the lobby of that hotel, when we're walking in, he grabbed Tony Parker, and you could see him over on the side with his finger in his face, telling him this, this, and this. And the next morning we had a meeting brunch and had a film session. He is wearing him out. Mm-hmm. But you know, the reason that worked was Tony Parker allowed Coach Pop to coach him. And I think that's the key with this group. But that doesn't happen, Marlon, unless they're high character dudes. They got to be good kids. You think of Galen's mother, Alicia. I think of Fabian White's mother, Andrea, and his father, Fabe Sr. I think of Sed's mother, Tamiko, Chris's father, Chris Harris Sr. You know, these guys have supportive parents. They haven't faulted me on one thing. They said, coach my son, develop my son. And that's where it starts. You know, we demand, you know, a lot of guys coach and they want their kids to do this, this, and this. Well, we don't ask them to do anything. You know, there's no discussion or no negotiation about effort and how hard we're going to play. And that's what we hang our hat on. But I go back to, I don't think that happens unless you have really good kids that can handle adversity.
Okay. And so since you brought Galen Robinson up, I'll get on him real quick. He was one of your first recruits out of high school. What has he meant to the program? And as far as in regards to you helping to turn this thing around to a national power, what has he meant being one of the first high school guys who trusted you?
Well, I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit. I go back to the first time I heard his name. I went out to Second Baptist High School and met this guy at a Starbucks talking about, there was another subject we met about. That's not important. But during the course of our conversations, Kelvin Sampson and Marlon Lowe were sitting there outside on the veranda at this little patio area of this Starbucks. And you looked at me, Marlon, and said, you know, the guy that people are sleeping on, I think he's the best point guard in Houston, is this kid named Galen Robinson. Never heard his name before. Didn't write it down, but I wrote it down mentally. So when I came back to the office, I asked my Texas contacts tell me about this Galen Robinson kid. You know, they told me something. You know, I'd been in NBA for 6 years, so I wasn't connected to any high school kid. Didn't know anything about him. But I went out to watch him that summer. He's playing for this AAU program called Texas Pro, and thought he was a little raw offensively in terms of his scoring set because all I ever saw him do was shoot layups. He just outrun everybody the other end of the court, shoot a layup, come back, shoot a layup. Kept throwing lob passes. This guy named Jared Allen. But what helped me evaluate Galen was the program he played in and how it was run. And my favorite AAU game in the last 5 years I've been in was Texas Pro against Houston Hoops at, I don't even know the name of that gym. I know Jim Hicks was running the tournament and they had good food. I remember that. But what I did was I said, that kid's going to be our captain one day. That's what I saw first because I knew I had to recruit a captain, somebody that was mature enough to handle it. Now, Galen got off to a rocky start because I specifically coached him harder than anybody else because I wanted to see if he could handle it. He had a good freshman year. He bottomed out as a sophomore, but as a junior and senior, he has become the clear leader of this program. And when I think about his development as freshman, sophomore, junior, and now his senior year, there's no doubt in my mind, Marlon, that Galen Robinson is one of the best point guards in the country because he plays the right way at both ends of the floor.
No, I like that, Coach. That goes a long way. Now, let's talk from a national basketball perspective. We know that you guys have been having an unbelievable year so far. It's been incredible, and I'm enjoying every moment of it. I'm sure everyone else is. But a lot of critics, they may say that you haven't played a tough schedule. But us basketball guys know that you've scheduled some very tough games early on. Utah State, St. Louis, New Jersey. NJIT was 11-2 when they came into the Fertitta Center last week. Oregon, LSU. Going and then even taking a game on the road to Oklahoma State.
And BYU.
Okay, and now that you've beaten those teams, how can you help us to understand, or those others to understand, the portion of scheduling, including going on the road, which a lot of teams don't do, right, in order to build the program?
Well, a lot of the bigger programs, when I say bigger, I mean the elite programs, usually don't play a road game until their first conference road game. For instance, Duke is at Wake Forest tonight. They've got a team full of freshmen, and tonight's their first road game. Now, our first road game was our fourth game of the year. We played at BYU. Then we came home and played Oregon. Then we went right back on the road to a Big 12 school at Oklahoma State. Then we came right back and jumped into, I thought it was really good teams. You mentioned St. Louis, Utah State. Those teams are good. NJIT, after we beat them here, they went back on the road and won at Duquesne. Duquesne lost in overtime to Pittsburgh at home. So, this schedule has prepared us. We realize what we're in for with the conference. Nobody's going to go undefeated in our conference. Last year I thought we had a great conference season with a really good team, and we went 14-4. And I think our conference is tougher, top to bottom, this year. But there's an art to scheduling. I know how to schedule. I'm not really interested in anybody's opinion of it. We have a way to balance our schedule out, and our schedule will never keep us from our goals. I think back to Galen's sophomore year. We lost to Connecticut at home, and we lost to South Florida at home as we were building. Had we won those games, we could have got to the NCAA tournament. And then his junior year, we were that close. His sophomore year, we were that close. So every year that we've been here, we've had a chance. We finally broke through last year, but I didn't think about going 15-0 with this schedule. If somebody told me we would have been 12-3 before the season started, knowing what we lost and the freshmen and new players we had coming in, if I known we were going to be 12-3, I'd have probably taken it. Shoot, and nothing wrong with going 12-3 with that schedule. But we won some games. We could have lost to Rio Grande Valley. We were lucky to win that game. Lou Hill's done an unbelievable job there. I really respect that man, the job he's done. We could have lost to St. Louis. Corey Davis jumped up and hit a big shot there at the end. But as we've been getting better and better and better, and that's how you have a great year, Marlon, is win your close games. We've got some games we could lose, and had we lost those games, we'd probably be 13-2, but we won them.
Right.
we're not sitting here saying that we're a great team, because we're not. But I will say this: we are a developing team. I think this team's going to get better.
Good. Now, speaking of Corey Davis, you have two of the, in my opinion, two of the premier shooters in the country. Corey Davis is unbelievable. We've seen him for years, and Armani Brooks is the younger one. He's from Texas as well. What have you been doing, and your coach has been doing, to keep their mindset focused and locked in? Because you continue to challenge these guys, and they've been meeting the challenges. And Corey Davis he hit some big shots this past game as well. So, and Armani Brooks had some, I think he was finished with 22. So what have you been doing to continue to keep these guys' minds locked in on the big picture?
Well, everybody has a journey. Everybody has a story. I think all of our life experiences, whether they're good or bad, will mold you going forward. And I'll never forget one of my former assistants, Talvin Hester. I give him all the credit for getting Armani Brooks, because I didn't know who Armani was. And I remember Talvin came in and said, "Coach, I keep hearing you say we got to get better shooters. There's a kid at Round Rock, McNeil High School there in Austin, I think is pretty good." So we had him in for an elite camp. And Galen was actually playing that day, and he kept throwing it to the corner to this long-armed, skinny kid. They kept making threes, and I said, whoa, I like that kid. And then I went to see him that summer, and he started blowing up. But Talvin had done such a great job with the family that we were so far ahead by the time other people got there that we were able to get him. But Armani's freshman year, he got wore out by Damian Dotson. To the point where Dot needed a little shot of confidence. We just put our money on him because you knew that Dot was going to slap him. But I think his development, and I give a lot of credit with Kellen and Quantas. Those guys work. You got to have a high energy, hard working staff, and those two guys especially, Quantas and Kellen, are phenomenal with their player development, because their energy spills over to our players. Now with Corey, Quantas did a great job recruiting him, because Corey could have went to a lot of places. But I think at the end of the day, Corey saw a fit. He saw where the way we coach can really help him develop his game. Because I went over and watched Corey in junior college, and Coach Jernander was doing a phenomenal job with him. They were #1 team in the nation at one point, Corey's sophomore year. And the fact that they disbanded that program is still mind-boggling to me. This is a tradition at San Jack. But Corey came in here with an open mind. I think discipline, on court and off court discipline, I think was something he really needed. And both those kids have just really blossomed here in this program by developing their skill set, but also developing as men. A lot of these kids come in here as boys, Marlon. They got, the social media freaks. They've got this, everything's I, me. And what we really teach them to do is to be givers and not takers. Because everybody's used to it being all about you. And we have to get them to buy into playing for each other. To give something to someone else. Every day, find something to do to help somebody else in life, whether it's open a door for a lady. We do a lot of work here for Special Olympics. We'll shut practice down one day and bring the Special Olympic kids in. Coach Brooks' wife, Rochelle, works with the Special Olympics in Houston, and we bring those kids, those people in. Men and women, boys and girls, and we have our kids work with them. And I think that's a great lesson that, you got it pretty good. Find a way to reach out and help other people. And I think that's part of their development as players, because then they realize they're on a team. The name on the front of our jersey says Houston. Doesn't say Corey or Galen or Almani. And we tell people, we're filling that Fertitta Center every night now. They're coming to see the University of Houston. They ain't coming to see you. They're coming to see our team. So don't get that twisted. Understand what this thing's all about.
Absolutely. Now, we'll start winding down here, Coach, but I got a couple more questions for you. Now, this might not be known to everyone, but you have a tradition bringing the team over to your house the night before all your home games. How did this tradition come about? And talk about that process of doing that right there.
That started in 1990, 91 season. Lauren would have been six or seven. No, Lauren would have been 5. Kellen would have been about 3. And one of the things I enjoyed doing with my kids when they were little, Marlon, was I had a tradition was I would always read to them, bedtime stories. Just get a book and read, point to pictures. Every father does that, read with their kids at night. And we were having film sessions before the game up at the locker room on the campus at our arena at Washington State. So, but I was missing my bedtime reading by doing that. So what we did was we started having the team come to our house in Pullman, Washington, when I was coaching Washington State, so I wouldn't miss the bedtime stories with my kids because they loved it. And when I wasn't there to read for them, they always would ask Karen, "Where's Daddy at? Why is Daddy not reading to us tonight?" Well, he's got film session, and Karen started talking to me about that. I said, "Well, I know how to solve that. Well, we'll start having film sessions at the house." But I give a lot of credit to my family because over the years they've had to sacrifice, Marlon. My wife makes chocolate chip cookies. She puts 4 huge chocolate chip cookies in a little baggie. And so when the kids come, she has them laid out, and they look forward to it because as soon as they drive up, they can smell them cookies, man. And, like this year, we've had, I think, 11 home games. So that's 11 days. And she always prepares them the day before to put them in the refrigerator, and then she bakes them right before they come so they'll be hot. So my wife, Karen's been a tremendous coach's wife. Kellen and Lauren have sacrificed over the years because we've just kept that tradition going for all these years now.
Wonderful tradition. I enjoyed just when I heard about it a couple of years ago, and it has been consistent. I said, man, that's something very new and unique. Not sure if a lot of coaches do it. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But I tell you what, one thing for sure is that is something that that should be a part of the recruiting pitch. Yeah. So I think so. So got 2 more for you, Coach. One, let's talk about your season is in right now, and it's heavy. But you got high school coaches high school players might look around and wonder, like, where is Houston at? Where is Houston at? And obviously they have to respect that you are in season as well. But when you walk into a gym and kids come and see you from the University of Houston step into a gym, let them know what's some of the first things that you actually look for. What do you look for when you walk into a gym and you see a game going on, as far as players or just anything?
Boy, that's a great question. For me, it's intangibles is so important. There's some kids that can score points, but that's all they can do. And I'd rather play against those kids. I've heard here in Houston, these people say, boy, this kid be great. He had 50 last night. And I go watch him play, and I said, man, I'd rather coach against that dude. He doesn't have the ball in his hands. What else does he do? And he's a volume shooter. There's a lot of variables connected with high scores. How do they get their points? How do they react with their coach? I don't care if it's a high school coach, AAU coach, whatever. How does he respect the coach? Because I don't want to recruit kids that don't respect his coach. How does he get along with his teammates? Is he a team first guy? But if you look at our team, we don't have anybody selfish. Everybody on our team plays together. We got guys coming off our bench that could easily be starting, but you never see them pout. You never see them complain. Their body language is always the right way because we coach that and we talk about that. So when I go out and see a kid, now there's a lot of kids that don't have those intangibles or variables that we think we can help. But talent is a given. Obviously, if he's not talented, we're not going to recruit him. But in my mind, I know what my point guard looks like. I know what my wings look like. I know what my 4s look like, and I know what my 5s look like. So when I see a kid, he's got to fit a position. And then can he guard that position? And is he a willing passer? Is he a willing defender? mean, there's a litany of things that I flip through in my mind besides just a talented scorer. Because if you look at our team, our leading scorer averages 15 points a game. And then we go from 15, we have like 7 or 8 guys average between 15 and 8. Whereas last year I had one guy averaging 20, and then the next guy averaged about 13. So every year is different. You just take your team, you throw your cards out there and you shuffle them around and you figure out how to make them work. But everything starts with being a good person, a good kid. Is he coachable, and will he fit into our culture?
Okay. Yeah, because then you talk about that, and you talk about your bench, like Jerome, Hinton, bringing Fabian off. We almost got, like you said before, you've almost got a starting 5 coming off the bench as well. And that's a great, those are some great ingredients to winning process where you sometimes don't lose a step when you put your bench in. So Coach, here we go as we wind down. What's it going to take for you to complete a whole game without removing your tie? And I'll tell you this. Maybe we can start a tradition where we have some people maybe raise money based on the amount of time that you keep it on. It might be a fun cause.
Well, I've had games where I've kept it on. The coach's going to come off. My first, when I was 25 years old, Marlon, I was a head coach in college when I was 25. And my first game as coaching, I was up in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And we were playing the University of Alberta Panda Bears. That was their name. There was a hockey game going on in that arena next door to us. And there was about 10,000 people at a hockey game, and there's about 100 people at the basketball game. And honest to God, I think the registrar or the provost of that school was refereeing the game. So not only did I take my coat off, I threw it at the referee, because I was 25 now. I was a little crazy back then. I threw it at the referee because he wasn't listening to me. He couldn't get his attention. So I took my coat off and threw it at him. I didn't try to hit him. I just tried to get his attention. And I tell you how bad those referees were. He wouldn't even give me a technical foul. I threw the coat on the floor and he wouldn't give me a technical.
Yeah.
But that was just we were getting jobbed at that place. But every game since then, I just took my coat off just to get comfortable. The tie thing's just been random. I have no idea if it'll come off or not. Just depends. Depends on a call, or maybe players following instructions or something that'll get me frustrated. But I'm who I am. I don't try to be anybody other than myself. And I just like to get comfortable over there.
Well, hey, Coach, being who you are is what has attracted a lot of people, including myself. I appreciate who you are and the direction that you continue to take the team, and each individual. So is there anything as we conclude that you'd like to say to the fans? Because, man, that Fertitta Center is very special. It's one of a kind. It's unique. And what you have been doing with this team and for the city of Houston has been phenomenal.
Well, I think it starts with your administration, Chris Pesman, Tillman Fertitta, Renew Couture. Those people have been so supportive of our program. Everything is about the players. It's we try to create an environment here where kids can succeed in the classroom. Galen Robinson already has his degree. He's graduated from the University of Houston. He's doing a 3-credit internship here in our office for his last credits, and then he'll march. Corey Davis will get his degree. Breon Brady. We have 3 seniors now, all graduate in May. We're proud of that. We're proud of the path that our kids take when they leave here, because I think every experience is shared. You're sharing them with your teammates, and you in turn may share them with your families. But I think all these experiences make up who you are, and that's why you focus on your journey and not your destination. Enjoy every day, because every day is going to have something that's going to create either joy or pain for you. But they're all intertwined. Embrace it all, whether it's something that forces you to have to do something uncomfortable or something you enjoy. Embrace it all. Realize that it's part of who you are, and it's what makes you a better player, a better person, better student. And that's the environment that we try to create here.
Coach, appreciate your time for sharing with us. Go Cougs. We'll see you soon.
Appreciate you, Marlon, and appreciate your friendship over the years. You're a good man.
Absolutely. Thank you. Take care.
Okay, thank you, Marlon.
That is Coach Kelvin Sampson, University of Houston, Cougars men's basketball. Thank you for tuning in and listening. Make sure you all make your way out to the Fertitta Center. Watch the University of Houston. Watch the Cougars men's basketball team play. 15-0 right now. I think 15, 17 in the AP poll, 15 in the coaches poll. Look, we should have asked him about this net rankings, which is if there are 4 net rankings in the country. I should have asked Coach about that. But look, nothing like having players so you're not even just players, but a team from your own city that's ranked in the top in the country. We should be supporting them more. This Fertitta Center is one of a kind. It's special. Make sure you check it out. I'm Marlon Lowe. Thanks for being inside the booth. Again, hit that subscribe button down at the bottom. See what we're going to have more coaches, more players, athletes on here talking on a regular basis. Enjoyed your time. Appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you and seeing you soon.